the greatest of all time, the greatest wealth creator of all fucking time since Moses. What are you going to tell your grandchildren? What are you going to tell your children 20, 25 years from now? What did you do, Grandpa? What did you do, Grandma, during the greatest transformation of motherfucking wealth in the history of the world? What did you do other than sit on your fucking hands? What did you do to take advantage of the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of the planet? Today I'm not going to teach you, but I'll lead you based on my 50 years experience coaching and mentoring kids to be more than they ever dreamt they could be. Super high performance. Nobody in your lives, unless you were the child of Andrew Agassi and Steffi Graf, which were both world-class athletes, didn't have the right role model to create high-performance people. I often ask the question, I'm not going to ask for show of hands, would you like your kids to turn out like your parents? I already know the fucking answer. I ask another question, would you like your kids to turn out like you? I'm not going to embarrass the group by having you raise your hands. The answer is no. So if you don't want your kids to turn out like your parents, and you don't want your kids to turn out like you, who the fuck are they going to turn out like? The sorry, miserable human beings that we have in the audience. Your parents, your grandparents, and most of you in this audience have been living quiet lives of desperation. Quiet lives of desperation. Metaphorically speaking, Sally, metaphorically, you should have taken a revolver and stuck it up your fucking mouth and blown your brains out. Because what good have you brought to the planet? None. But my system is based on mentoring. Josh Kim was mentioned in the introduction. Josh Kim is a young kid, 17 years old when he came to me. And today he's 21, flying around in a jet plane. Now, I was asking some of the staff earlier, what is it that resonates about Josh, other than the fact he's 21 and a lot of you kids are 21, or close to it, close enough for government work, right? It's because you see what he's done and what you haven't done. To accept the QLA methodology, you have to say, let's say for the people, the old gits that are maybe in their 50s, and maybe even have somebody in their 60s or in your 30s, you've wasted your whole motherfucking life. And that's a tough pill to swallow. How is it a 17-year-old kid can come to me, homeschooled, no high school, no G level, O level, A level, no university. His only claim to fame, and I'm not demeaning it, he was an Eagle Scout. And now he's a multimillionaire. He's also not a teenager anymore, he's 21. He had his 21st birthday at the castle. He came back to the seminar. That's what you can relate to. But the difference is, and as you'll see as we go through the slides, he pulled the fucking trigger. You've been deluded, misguided into thinking going to lectures like this, listening to fucking podcasts, reading fucking books is taking action. Well, that's nothing but fucking procrastination, you weak, weenie cunts. Don't you see it? Don't you get it? Josh had a dream, and when we show you what Josh's dream was, a few slides from now, you will not believe what a young kid, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, before he came to me, dreamt of. There are no mentor systems anymore to speak of. When I go to universities, I ask the question, how many classes have you had in buying a business? No hands go up. How many classes have you had in selling a business? No hands go up. How many classes have you had in leadership? No hands go up. So the three most important goddamn things to living once you get out of school, nobody teaches. Self-esteem is built the first 7 or 8 years of life. Who are you with the first 7 or 8 years of life? Mom, maybe dad, an older brother, sister, a grandparent, right? What the fuck do they know about raising anything? What the fuck do they know about building self-esteem? I rest my case. All you've heard till now is that, a big pile of shit. And I'm telling you, most of you in this room are going to fail in life. And I'd be willing to set up a book, a gambling book, 10-to-1 odds, and I'll win the book, because most of you are going to fail. I could say, bit of a stretch, all of you are going to fail. But I have a few mentees in the audience, so I know that's not true. Whereas the other guys and gals tell you it's easy. You can be whatever you want to be. Don't raise your hand. But when I was growing up, in more recent generations, you can be whatever you want to be when you grow up. That's a load of shit. But why do we want to believe it? In this country, unless you went to Oxford or Cambridge, the chances of you being motherfucking prime minister are zero. In America, unless your name is Clinton, Kennedy, or Bush, the odds of you being president are zero. Or pretty close. But then if you couple the Ivy League schools, they're a little better than zero. But why do we want to believe that? Some of you in the audience are fucking ugly. Just flat ass ugly. That your parents, your mother, I went to a 50-year reunion with my lovely wife, and she met all these older women in their 90s, one almost 100, that I was an angel, they told her. I've been accused of being a lot of things in life, but angel's not one of them. So you must block out, brain cells as you get older. But other than that, I was a terror. I was a terror. Kids are not programmed for success because you have your parents to look at, and they were poor role models. Josh Kim, we met his parents once before, a couple of years ago, but we went to their house this last year because I had to see with my own eyes. And when we went out to dinner afterwards, 10 kids. Josh is the oldest. We're sitting at the dinner table with Josh's parents, and I said, with the greatest respect, Sally and I discussed this on the way back from your home restaurant. We cannot relate to your family in any way, shape, manner, or form. They were perfect. You keep 10 kids aged from 7 months to 19 years old. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. They stand up when an adult goes in the room. They hold the door for women, ba 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 ba. They were fucking perfect. That's why Josh turned out the way he is. And how close to perfect were your parents? Not. That's why you got the dipshit, sorry asses that we got in the audience. He just went and took care of business, did a QLA like the courses he never took in university. And he's doing it now. And he's not the only teenage phenom. He's the most successful teenage phenom I've had in the last 20 years. But we got a lot of kids. We got university kids making $1 million a year, which I don't even brag about because I don't think it's any big fucking deal. And when we were at Krakow University in Poland the year before last, I'm giving a speech just like this, and I say $1 million. In fact, one of the $1 million a year guys is in the audience. John, do you mind if I embarrass you by asking you to stand up? He stands up. He's a student at Krakow University. He made €1 million last year. Yes, I did, Mr. Peña. Not one single student in the fucking audience, not one single student in the audience asked how he made the $1 million or went over and talked to him. Not one single fucking student asked him how he made the $1 million or went over and talked to him. What does that say? Volumes. Just like you read all your books, you don't learn anything. When I was at Oxford 2 years ago, I have a kid, Oxford student, who made $700 or $800 million. Not one Oxford kid asked me his name or how he made the $700 or $800 million. Speaks volumes, doesn't it? There's no correlation between a six-pack and 6% body fat and wealth. In fact, there's a reverse correlation. Most of the meatheads that have muscles are poor. Better you're a fat slob, behemoth, drool, snot blowing out your nose. You got a higher probability of being successful than a six-packer. Why? Because you're desperate to fit in. Why are you desperate to fit in? Because you saw your parents be desperate to fit in. The one thing that Josh has is Josh is not desperate to fit into anything. He doesn't care what you think about him, what you say about him. Whereas virtually everybody in this audience cares about what people think and say about you. Because remember, self-esteem is built the first 7 or 8 years, and we already talked about who you're with the first 7 or 8 years. Now, if you were this kid, and your parents were trying to train you to step out of your comfort zone, or have an expanded comfort zone, you might be able to say different. That kid doesn't know that big snake can swallow him. I didn't know that lion could eat my head off when I was 13 years old in that picture. My parents exposed me to risk in fear early in my life. My mother is off camera there on the left. You can't see her in hysterics because the lion had just had my head in its mouth. Most of your parents wouldn't let you take a picture like that. You might get hurt. And now look at you, the wussy cunt that you are. People do get hurt from time to time. Doesn't look like I'm too worried about it. There's Sally in the back just a few feet behind me. And yes, that's not a Photoshop. The silverback gorilla in Rwanda, Sally and I are this far away from him. And Charles, the big male silverback, had an affinity for blonde girls, my wife being one of. And you can't touch them, but they can touch you, and they touch pretty hard. And yes, we went trekking with lions. And yes, people get hurt. But we've continued to expand our comfort zones all our life. About 4 years ago, we were in New Zealand. And what's the place we were at? Queenstown, and I looked at a big poster on the wall, and the big poster on the wall showed bungee jumping. And I said, Sally, I want to do that, I want to do that. So Sally turns around and says, that's where we are, Dan. We're at the home of bungee jumping. It's right up on that hill. So I signed up the next morning. I go, and there's a big line, about 30, 40 people in the big line waiting to bungee jump. But there's 40 to 60 mile an hour winds gusting. So all the six-pack, pill-popping, 4% body fat millennials, they're going, oh man, when that fucking wind dies out, I'm gonna jump that motherfucker. So after about 5 or 10 minutes of waiting, I went up to the head of the line, I gave the guy a $100 bill, and I said, don't you think the wind stops? Absolutely, sir. I go and I jump. I go and I jump. I come back down, and the guys are going, hey, that wind, it must have calmed down when we weren't noticing that, and we're gonna... That's your whole life, it's like that. There's never an easy time to make a hard decision. Most of you are married for the wrong reasons. Those of you that have kids had them for the wrong reasons. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. Command allows no end in the seas, it's lonely at the top. I saw a bunch of you hugging each other here today, and I realized that's a sign of not some sort of endearment. It's not my sign of endearment, but Bill Gates does not hug Warren Buffett. Trust me. Steve Jobs didn't hug anybody. Elon Musk doesn't hug anybody. You get the picture? Bill, Warren, Elon, and Steve don't hang out. They don't fucking chill. You get the message? None of those gentlemen go to the World Cup. None of those gentlemen go to the Masters golf tournament. None of those gentlemen go to any of the sporting events. You get it? Now, certainly we know the world's fucked up. Now, when we were, again, at Krakow University, we were on the third floor of the physics building, as I recall, and it was real quiet. And there was a sign in Polish. And I asked our guide, why is it so quiet here? I was listening. This is a safe floor. Safe from what? From stress. Are you bullshitting me? What are you talking about? Safe from stress. There is a floor to go to if life becomes too overwhelming. Are you fucking kidding me? No wonder you're all fucked up. Are you fucking kidding me? In the military now, you can't slap and hit and punch people anymore. Now they pull out a card. If the drill instructor is getting too hostile with them, they pull out a card. It's not like this, but a card. That means, leave me alone. I need safe time. Are you do you think that's what's going to happen when the Taliban come in and they chop your fucking head off? You're going to give them a safe card? 18-year-olds. Because I am the last saloon in the last town on the edge of the world. Because when you come to me, you've tried every other fucking thing known to man. Because everybody else tells you it's easy. And if you fail with me, that means you fail. There is no redemption after me. You're going into the abyss. And metaphorically speaking, you got to blow your fucking brains out. And I can smell fear in this room. I can smell death. I'm good at smelling death. 87% of the world's unhappy, according to the Gallup poll. I'm still looking for the 13%. only 87% of you are unhappy. I think that number is grossly underestimated. Why are you unhappy? What are you unhappy about? Remember I said earlier on in my talk, most of us, or most of you, and most of your parents, and most of your grandparents are living quiet lives of desperation. Quiet lives of desperation. Now the cure-all to everything that's bad in your life is joining in a fucking affiliate group and getting some commission off some other moron. Now just think that through a little. Joining an affiliate group to make 2 or 3, 4 grand a month off some other moron's 10 or 15 grand a month. You understand how disingenuous bullshit that is? Yet at least a third of you are in some sort of affiliate group in this room. Tough love works 100%. Extraordinary tough love works better. And vicious tough love works the best. I'm not interested in your problems. They're your problems. I'm not interested in whether you like me or you don't like me. The good news is 99.9% of all the people that have been helped by QLA I've never met. That's the good news. Because I'm antisocial. I don't like people. I wouldn't piss on your face if it were on fire. Literally. And the big high performance names that I've already mentioned, and we're going to name a few more, wouldn't piss on your face if it were on fire either. But they're in the legacy mode. They're painting their legacy. They're worried about what people are going to write about them. They're like an ex-president trying to raise money to build their libraries. I don't have to do that, and I wouldn't do it. Because what we're here about is the psychology of the high performer. And the reason that you're so poor at it is because you've had no high performance role models. Virtually none. And you've tried to live vicariously by blogs, etc., of other people that are purportedly high performance. Now, an interesting exercise would be, and I know all the names, is to list all the names and then see how many follow each one of them. And I'm here to tell you, 1,000%, 1,000,000 pounds I put on it. I can guess who's the number 1, 2, and 3 on your score sheets. How do you know that, Dan? Other than I'm a genius, but other than that, because I know which ones sell you the biggest load of shite, and basically anybody can do it. The QLA system has worked from 80 IQ to 180 IQ. The 180 IQ is worth about 40 or 50 million. The 80 IQ, it did a 400 million deal. Has nothing to do with IQ. Because QLA is not for everybody. Because you're not willing to, make the sacrifices. You're not willing to, pay price to action. We all know, allegedly, how to lose weight. Less calories, more exercise. Yet 60% of the Britons are overweight, and 60% of the US are overweight. We know these things, but it's the pay price to action. How many hours a week are you willing to put forth? And how many hours a week aren't you willing to put forth? Extension learning, overcoming fear by positive experiences. Part of the QLA system is doing something that takes you out of your comfort zone every day. And you can learn not to be a pussy. For those of you that are really pussies, it's harder. But you can learn. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I asked you, would you like your kids to be like you? I know the answer. I asked you, would you like your kids to be like your parents? I know the answer. But would you like you see, you can't do anything about your parents or grandparents, right? They're there. But would you like your kids to turn out like the fucking bums that you chill with, that you fucking hang with? Fucking bums! I know the answer to that too. And you can't blame your parents or grandparents, only but indirectly, because you chose those 5 mates. Nobody chose those cocksuckers but you. And you chose them because you had low self-esteem, no self-confidence whatsoever. And that you can blame your parents for. We ought to just line, this cement wall Well, to just line all your parents up there. Cut them down like the fucking dogs that they are. What gets measured gets better. What gets measured gets accomplished. The QLA system, the Josh Kims of this world, follow the QLA system of accountability. You don't. Who are you accountable to? Your phone? I have 3 cell phones. All of them are turned off. I don't use any of them. I don't check messages, whatever you do on them. Whatever you can do, I don't know how to do it. And I'm proud of it. True self-esteem has to be earned. If in any way, shape, manner, or form, this small couple hours helps you on your journey, and it's not a journey, because that's another thing, there's another slide coming up. Life's not a journey, life's a model. You find somebody who's where you want to be now, and you just mimic, copy, model him all the way through. If you wanted to be a great footballer, I don't know, Messi now, or there's great footballers. It used to be, my day was Pele, okay? You try to be like that, right? Not like some fucking bum you drink beers and pints with at the pub. But right now, you are modeling the bums at a pub, more or less. Hopefully not more, but less. Simplistically speaking, this is the model, the QLA model, and this is what Josh followed. But the real thing is by acquisition, because it's easier to buy revenue than it is create it. I'm not here to talk about the model, but it's very simplistic. It's very simple. There's only one moving part, and I'm not the one that invented it. We're going to talk about who invented it here in a second. My quantum leap in life is I come from the barrio, the picture there on the left, to when I went to my investiture by the Queen a couple of years ago. To make that leap from the barrio to getting blessed by the Queen of fucking England is a big fucking leap. And my interim step was when they made me an officer and a gentleman. The United States Congress said, Lieutenant Peña, you're an officer and a gentleman by the act of Congress. So, those simple steps are what made me who I am today. And unfortunately, success leaves clues. The first method of estimating the intelligence of a ruler is who you hang with. We already said that. We know you're not hanging with anybody. Now, Andrew Carnegie, QLA is based off of him. He's the ultimate grandfather of the QLA system that I just copied 120 years later. Why doesn't Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Bank of America tell you to do it the QLA way? Because there's no fees involved. Our system is almost feeless, I don't know if that's a word or not, but feeless, without fees. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and JP Morgan will not promote the QLA model because there are no fees involved, or almost no fees involved. And 60% of investment banking income is derived by fees now. But it's been around since this man, who comes from right down the road from where I live, Sally and I live at Guthrie Castle, just maybe 40, 50 miles away. Andrew Carnegie. Success leaves clues. He was also a ruthless old man, as was Henry Ford was a ruthless man, just like John Rockefeller was a ruthless man, just like Steve Jobs was a ruthless man. Keep your job at Amazon 80 hours a week. To be considered for a promotion, 85 hours a week. To get promoted, 90 hours a week. There's people in this room that don't work 90 hours in 3 weeks. And it's not enforced by Jeff. It's enforced by the employees. Because he has created a culture of ruthless workaholics. To realize there is no balance in life. Of course, then there's the Elon, the flavor of the month, who smoked on Joe Rogan's show. I didn't smoke on Joe Rogan's show. I think that says it all. We've grown fucking soft, Elon Musk, after Vance noted that only hundreds of people were working at Tesla's headquarters on a Saturday. My proceeds from PayPal, blah, 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 we all know that. He put all his money, he had to borrow money for rent, we know that. Notorious workaholic Elon Musk is so tied to the office that he's been known to sleep on the floor of his factory, so have I. Then he reveals brutal, well, we know that. My mentality is that of a samurai. I would rather commit seppuku than fail. That means kill myself than fail. And then, no friends, nothing. Elon Musk reveals in lonely 24 hours he's been working. Who gives a shit? There's nobody that has that intestinal fortitude to work like that in this fucking room other than the guy standing up here in front of the fucking screen. So don't be wanting to be Elon. Don't be wanting to buy one of those goddamn cars that's overpriced. I mean, unless you're willing to pay the sacrifice. Money's not everything, kids. It's the only thing anybody keeps track of. But this kid came to me 2.5 years ago. All I want, Mr. Peña, is I want to finish first in British archery, university level. He was firing 50 to 100 arrows a day. Now just look at him, little skinny shit. A year and a half later, that's him, #1, British University archery champ. I said, you fire 500 to 1,000 arrows a day, and we'll make you champion. He cut his hands, blisters, bleeding. Got 160 pound, I didn't even know there was 160. He doesn't weigh 160 pounds. Couldn't pull the fucking bow back. There he is, winning. He says, Mr. Peña, it works. I said, I know it works, you little shit. You're giving up your family, your girlfriend. You're going to move into a fucking little hut out in the woods. You're not going to talk to anybody for 2 years. It only took him a year and a half. I overestimated the work. The Romans had their day, the Athenians had their day, and we fucking had our day. We're through. It's irreversible. That's why Elon and Jeff want to die on the way to Mars, because they also think it's through. We're through. Don't you get it? Now, the one trait that you should be able to resonate with, Bill, Elon, Mark, and Warren are all introverts, like most of you in this audience. 98% of the high-performance people on the planet all have one characteristic. They're introverts. There's only 2% of us loudmouth, big fuck, moron, bodacious guys like me. Only 2%. One person just like me happens to be the President of the United States right now, Donald Trump. But most of the high-performance people are just like you. Just like you. Money is free right now. We have the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years. What are you going to tell your grandchildren? What are you going to tell your children 20, 25 years from now? What did you do, Grandpa? What did you do, Grandma, during the greatest transformation of motherfucking wealth in the history of the world? What did you do? Other than sit on your fucking hands. What did you do to take advantage of the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of the planet? What did you do? Not a fucking thing. That's what you're going to say. Not a fucking thing. Because I was too much a coward. I was too much a weenie. I was too much a fucking cunt. When I say cunt, I mean coward. I didn't do anything. And that'll be your regret. Oh, God. It gives me an erection looking at that fucking thigh. That's what I want you to be snorting. Not the lines. There's somebody here in Britain that is suing the British government, the Bank of England, because now they make money out of plastic for the bills, because they cut their nose snorting cocaine. It got infected and they have part of the nose lanced off. It's a true story. Are you fucking shitting me? That can only happen in Britain. Believe me. They're suing them. And you know what? The government will pay them. Because you've been taught money is dirty. Not important. Other value is more important. That's why you never get any. Everybody in this room has a relative, a mother, a father, a cousin that has heard one of those reasons why it's bad to be rich. Surround yourself with those in the same mission. not your mates at the pub. I used to, when I first came here in 1981, during the summertime, the pubs expand out onto the street, right? And there's like 20 deep outside a pub drinking. It's still working hours. I didn't understand 1981, and I don't understand in 2019. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I said that. Now, I've got 2 or 3 mates, as you call them, but that's who they're like. Association is power. You hang out with monkeys, your life becomes a circus. And I see some circus acts up here. Success is like being pregnant. Everyone says congratulations, but nobody knows how many times you got fucked. Now I have 3 million pores in my body. We all have about 3 million pores, and I've been fucked in every one of them at least twice.